right? And I think a lot of what I find that fails for people when they get into street text or Facebook lead generation, Instagram in general, is that their mindset is looking for results today. Their mindset is all about where's my next deal coming from. They're they have misguided expectations.
All right. Well, welcome everybody, and we're letting all the attendees come in right now. So just wait for that for a second, and we will be live on Facebook in just a second. With that in mind, I always like to just kind of talk a little bit. So we're kind of killing time here before we go live on Facebook, and waiting for that magical little button to pop up. But I think everybody's going to enjoy what we've got today. I think there's some really good insights on what we've done in the last year and what we're going to do moving forward. So, all right, we are live on Facebook. Welcome everybody to another great webinar with the guys from StreetText. As any of you have watched before, tons of great content, and we're really just going to focus on just kind of recapping what 2021 looked like, and as we move forward, because for me, I don't know about you guys, but basically 2022 in my mind starts tomorrow. And what I mean by that is I don't think we're putting anything else under contract for 2021, more than likely. So we're in 2022. Hopefully you've done some plan. Hopefully this isn't the first time you thought about 2022, but again, excited to be here. Quick administrative stuff. We will have a deal for you today. If you're not a StreetText user, we will have a special for you today that's through LCA. And then also lots of great content will be here today. So hopefully you'll want to rewatch it, and we will have this up on our YouTube channel. So without any further ado, I'm going to pass over to Logan and Marcus, and we'll get started. So Logan, over to you.
Yeah, so really what we wanted to touch on this one is kind of a recap of what's gone on this year, some of our learnings, some of the things that we've discovered that I think are hugely beneficial and just things that everybody needs to know. A lot of what we cover is going to obviously be reliant on using StreetText. However, a lot of what StreetText does, or most of what StreetText does, you can do your own. And that's something that we're always trying to let people know is all these things that we're teaching you guys how to do, you can do it yourself elsewhere. You don't need StreetText to put it all together. However, we just make it easier. Everything that we try to get you to do, it's so much easier here. Instead of going to build an ad yourself and come up with your own creative and objective type and image and all that stuff, and then funnels and CRM, literally 15 seconds, you should be able to use one of our templates, and all of that's done for you. The forms are created, the landing page is done, the CRM, the drip campaigns, everything, and that's kind of what we try to do. And we really wanted to kind of recap a couple things that I think are incredibly important. Some things that I'm finding people come to us with. We'll say that, bringing bad habits and the things we're trying to train out of people. And again, I think the first one is really important, and that's how to monitor your ads. Understanding when an ad is doing well, understanding when an ad needs to be replaced, understanding, all that stuff, when to let it ride and when to pull the plug. And I think that the most important thing for me is not looking at things as a leads per day, leads per week, leads per month. That's the mindset that a lot of people come to us with, and we need to try to change that, because how many leads you get in a day, I think, is less important than how much money each lead is costing you, right? And that's something we can all be on the same page with, because if somebody says, well, I'm running my own ads and I'm getting 20 leads a day. Okay, great, but that doesn't paint the whole picture. How much money are you paying? Because I can get you 20 leads a day no matter what you want to, wherever you are, but in certain areas, it's going to cost you a lot more money. So that's what we look at, is the end result. And that's something that, again, what we try to do here on StreetText is make sure that you can monitor the ad spend, and all of the important cost per results that are going to be important to you. And the reason I say this is because I'll have people who have an ad that's been running really well for weeks, months at a time, very consistent. Then all of a sudden, let's say you have 2 or 3 days without leads. A lot of the times, most of the time, people panic and they'll turn that ad off. Okay, well, it's not working anymore. It was dead. It was ready to die. Well, not necessarily. Good ads will fluctuate, right? We always say this. Good ads will fluctuate. Bad ads won't get good. So if an ad is struggling and it's not bringing in leads in its first couple days, that's a bad ad. That ad won't blow up and take off. Whereas an ad that's been good for months, you got to give it some leeway. And we've got two columns for this specific reason. We've got the lifetime performance. We also have what have you done for me lately, the last 7 days worth of performance. You can always track that. The other thing that's important to understand is you need to have proper information when there is a problem. And this is one of the big ones that we provide you here at StreetText is Facebook is, I would say, famously notorious for not providing you full details when something goes wrong. So if leads do dry up in your account for a couple days, is it that your good ads fluctuating, or have you reached your ad account spending limit? Have you reached a max budget? Is your credit card on Facebook not appropriate? Is your ad account unsettled? There's so many potential issues. So again, while good ads will fluctuate, an issue in your account will absolutely turn everything off. So one thing that we really wanted to highlight really quickly is what we've learned to do is our system has the ability now at uncovering what's actually going wrong on Facebook and translating it into a very simple way for you to simply log into your ads account. And you'll see a big error notification at the front now that says, hey, your ad account is unsettled. And you'll go, what does that mean? Well, click this link. It'll take you to exactly the area that needs to be fixed, along with help articles as to how to get it fixed. So if there is an account issue, if you're a StreetText user, you'll know what it is right away. And if not, lean on your coach for more guidance to help you kind of get things over the hump. Anything you want to add on any of that kind of stuff so far, Marcus? You're muted.
I think I'm a veteran of this. No, I think it's spot on. And the beauty of StreetText how easy it is. These ads, these funnels, they're deployable within seconds. And what's your record on that, Logan?
4.6 seconds.
4.6 seconds. And in 4.6 seconds, you have 3 to 5 ads going out there and really auctioning themselves out in the audience in that 15-mile minimum radius, right? That everybody knows about at this point, hopefully. So naturally what you're going to do is you're going to test the waters, and you're going to find an algorithm or a relevancy quite early. And it's not always quantity. It's not always quantity of leads as much as it is quality of information. But within that, those ads competing against each other, auctioning, finding the right person, the right fit, you have these amazing automations are as well firing out. And those automations, they are customized. They're personal to you. They have video included in there. They have text messaging going out. It's integrating with the systems that you already have out there through email parsing or Zapier. So this is an entire solution piece. And I think ultimately what you got to understand is take it in layers. Ad performance is one layer. Automations are another. Follow-up, scripts, strategies, role play, leveraging, ISAs, VAs. There's so many different parts of this, right? But we like to think that we connect it all together for you quite well. We're an entire solution. And it becomes fun when you recognize that it's not about how many sales can I get out of this? It's about how many conversations can I create authentically out of this? How many people can I affect in a way that they see me as someone unique and different out there, not trying to sell them anything, but truly coming from a consulting standpoint, truly there to serve, truly there to contribute to their lives and share with them an amazing amount of value that's added over time. That really helps them make the most important decision of their life financially. Whether they're moving somewhere or selling, whatever that looks like, and then connecting with other people too that you have a part of in your network. So that's what I get most excited for. It's interruption-based marketing. It's digital door knocking. But remember, don't just look for lead flow. If you focus on lead flow too fast, then you forget the whole picture. Fortune is in the follow-up, as we know. Follow-up, 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 follow-up. And if you really define that process first and foremost, ad performance you can find within a 24-hour period quite easy.
So real quick, guys, if I'm going along and I've got an ad that's getting me 3-4 leads a day and I'm pretty happy with it and we're getting some closings, things are going well. And then for 2 or 3 days, let's just say hypothetically, it's kind of what Logan was saying, it just kind of goes blank, or maybe I got 1 lead in 3 days. Let's just talk about process. Like, what's my troubleshooting process? So someone does go, okay, that's great. That's all hypothetical, but what's the 3 steps that I need to take to make sure that I'm not, to figure out what's next, basically?
First off, I like to say consistency. So you never want to be turning off ads and having to start from scratch all the time. It's better off to have an anchor ad running. So one that I'm happy with, that I'm always tinkering. If I'm perfectly happy and I don't want to spend any more money and it's doing everything that I want, I'm pretty much just going to leave it alone largely. If it's kind of middling in terms of results, I'm constantly tinkering to find one that I'm excited to replace my anchor ad with. Now, in the case of, let's say we have an anchor ad and it's been running for months and months and months with strong performance, and your cost per result is in line with what you're looking for, then it hits a detour. That's when I'm really quick to, again, assume that it's going to rectify itself, but at the same time, that's when I start getting, onto the, let's see if we can build a replacement. I don't go, okay, this ad's done, and turn it off and start testing again. Absolutely not. I give that one enough time to rectify itself and come back to life. At the same time, I look at what else has changed, in the spectrum on Facebook. Maybe I just go back and do a new 3-ad split test using the same, call to action, image, copy, targeting as my previous ad that had run so well, and hope it latches onto a new audience and starts fresh and does well for months of itself again. Or I might consider, especially if you're a StreetText client, ask your coach. Hey, it's been 3 months since I launched a new ad. What are you guys finding that's working well? One thing that I'd say that we've discovered this year, most of our clients, I would say the large majority of them, are looking for sellers either primarily or exclusively. So most people have been very hesitant to do buyers ads. Now, I think Janky was, one of the first people for us anyways, that really brought this to light, but so many buyer leads have assets to sell. So one thing that I decided to do was to take it upon myself to say, okay, we're finding normal buyer leads are finding people who have assets to sell often, more often than not. Why don't we double down on that? So I came up with an ad that we're currently testing right now, and it's becoming our next template here within the next week or two. But basically, it's a take on that same angle, but it's really finding people. And I can quickly share my screen if you'd like, and I'll show everybody what this looks like. So you guys can see this ad here. That come up properly? So the general idea is using the downsize narrative without using negative terminology like empty nest. Because when you say empty nest, you attribute that to negative in a sense. You're losing something, you're missing something, your kids are no longer there. It's a negative aspect. So this is very much the same, but it's speaking to people much more positively. So hey, are you looking to downsize your home but not your lifestyle? Get a list of beautiful turnkey homes, smaller footprint, no stairs, less maintenance, sent directly to you. So the people that are coming through this are the individuals who really are, they don't want to be homeless. So before they sell their home, they want to know that what they're looking for exists, it's affordable and all that. And the angle is so easy. Hey, you're interested in this beautiful list of homes. Great. I'd like to send you something more exclusive to what you're actually looking for. So if you could let me know more of what you're looking for, and better yet, in order for us to find you your dream home, we need to establish a budget. Only way for me to help you establish an appropriate budget is by valuing your current assets. So hey, why don't we start there? So it's the same, you're offering something that a lot of people aren't offering them, because everybody else is just trying to get in the home and sell that home. We're showing them what else is out there. So I think that the top end angle, that's more attractive, because the idea of selling your home and the idea of buying your next home, they're not on the same plane in my view. Selling your home is great, but buying a home is exciting. And for anybody who's worked in the industry, the different levels of excitement when dealing with an established home sale, seller, right? Or a first-time home buyer. The level of excitement, they are on different stratospheres. So that's kind of the idea, is let's deal with the fun emotion. That's the buying of a property. But with that wording, again, you're eliminating a lot of people who are first-time buyers. You're eliminating a lot of people who are just buyers. The idea is, hey, are you looking for an upgrade, downsize? And so far across the board, in all of the accounts we've run this in, I have literally not yet seen one not work. Not one person has this not worked in their account yet. The max cost I've been seeing is around $7 an email. The lowest I've had is 90 cents. That's a full lead. So our average is about $3.25 per full lead is what we're seeing on that one, which is fantastic.
Real quick, Logan. So if I were to run a straight buyer ad versus a straight seller ad, do you have just a general feel? I know you don't have the exact numbers right in front of you, and they vary from market to market, but on the average, is a seller lead double, triple, 1.5 times? You have a feel for what that is?
I'd say 1.25, 1.5 right now. Buyer
Okay.
leads are theoretically and typically less expensive. If I had to attribute an average, I would say $6, whereas the average seller lead maybe $8. But again, there's bigger variances in different areas, of course. So if you're in an area, in Orange County, let's say, for instance, the average cost per email on a seller lead will be considerably more. It's just the way it is. But again, it's in relation to the return as well. That's just how it works, right? So if you're in an area where the median value is $1 million plus, granted, there's going to be more people typically advertising in that space with more money to spend in that space. So you will then have to, spend a little bit more money to acquire a similar level of lead. But instead of getting a $6,000 commission, you're getting a $25,000 commission. So really ROI should always be in that same kind of light.
It actually seems to go better the higher the market, by the way, just because it doesn't scale that way. But here's the reason I brought that up. Traditionally, I've heard that it's a 38%. 38% of buyers are also sellers is the stat. But and I've talked to Janky about this. You mentioned her. Right now, we're seeing a higher percentage. So what's interesting is, in theory, buying seller leads and getting a seller buyer theoretically, get a buyer seller, actually what I'm saying, could actually be cheaper and get you more business for the same spend. And just, I suggest people play with it is really what I'm saying. Don't get stuck. I want a seller. I'm only going to run a seller lead. So.
And I'm a huge believer of test. And you do not know the answer to a question you have not asked.
Amen.
Period. Right. So if you're wondering, I wonder if I'm going to get, sellers from a buyer's ad in my area. Well, I can't tell you that you will or you will not. But what can tell you is 24 to 48 hours of running an ad. Period. Right. And that's kind of what we try to do, is work alongside you guys. And, it doesn't matter what you're asking for. I have people coming to me saying, hey, I'm looking to recruit more agents to my team. I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that. Great. Well, we might not have a template for it, but we've probably already started testing a solution. We might as well test it for you. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we got more work to do, but we'll get it working. It's kind of the idea. And again, that's what we aim to do here on our side, is just work alongside you, make everything you're trying to do on Facebook considerably easier and more efficient and effective.
Love it. Yeah, so I'm going to double on that. You have to realize that there are many, many ways to put an ad out in front of Facebook. But really the key on that is to work with a guide per se who's going to show you how to translate that into a relationship. I think immediately we have to always have empathy in this process of understanding, what does it feel like? What's the experience like from their side, from the buyer side, from the seller side? And if you begin with that mindset, the shift happens in terms of lead conversion to lead conversation. The shift happens to, here I am as a buyer, a seller, randomly scrolling down my Facebook feed today, and I'm digitally door knocking. I'm interruption-based marketing on my end. That person in that mindset, they're wearing these glasses that they see through the experiences of their life. And in that moment, if they're having, a bad day or whatever, they've been burned by people in the past, if that experience doesn't line, if it's not congruent with what they thought they were going to get, and the experience on the other side is different, it's not authentic, it's not genuine, it's a random list of properties, it's a generic HTML-based email, you're going to be backpedaling a bunch to try to begin a conversation with this person. So a lot of this does come down to almost reverse engineering entirely what you want them to see and how you're going to continue to set that tone throughout your subsequent touches. Does that align? Does that value add? Are you willing to go the long run with this person, even if they just sit back and observe for 6 to 10 touches, right? And I think a lot of what I find that fails for people when they get into StreetText or Facebook lead generation, Instagram in general, is that their mindset is looking for results today. Their mindset is all about where's my next deal coming from? They have misguided expectations. And so if you focus on the tools, the integrations, the nurturing, the community, the collaboration, understanding and getting and masterminding around people that have been at it for years to tell you, hey, this is my experience. This is when I started seeing ROI. This is the time frame where things really started jiving with me. Here's my recommendations on what you need to do. Now you've got a great mindset on when things will start producing for you. Because anyone can get lucky within the first 7-day trial that we have. But I always find when that happens, it's like, oh, this is not realistic. You got lucky today. But in general, you'll see fruit. And that fruit, like Janky and Jennifer and all these, testimonials that we have in there, they'll tell you when they start really seeing it happen. And also, you're a different, you're going to be a different level. Like Janky's at a level that not a lot of people have access to, with VAs and ISAs and social media coordinators and director of operations, where you have the ability to get to lead within seconds, right? Like that. Other people are going to have to wear all those hats in the beginning while they're figuring out how to put that leverage piece together. So this is where I think masterminding is so effective. It's like one thing to hear webinars with us talking, but then it's another thing to actually get into a group where there's another 50 to 100 people who all have success with StreetText to some level, and we're all sharing what's working, just as importantly, what's not working. Hey, and then you get encouragement from the people like, hey, this is what I'm seeing you're doing wrong, right? This is what I would give you some constructive feedback on starting to implement. Here's an integration like, A, B, C that I would offer you as something that will help you do this. And just help these people identify the mindset is the biggest shift over and over again. And just be, consistent. Insanity is the definition of doing the same thing over and over and thinking you're going to get different results. If you're not getting results, there's a reason. What's not connecting? Let's figure it out.
Right. And just doubling down on that as well, I think it's important, just the idea of multiple touches. I think that most people understand the terminology that we typically use when we say speed to lead and 8 to 12 touches, right? But the general idea is we know the average lead takes 8 to 12 touches, emails, text messages, phone calls, in-person interviews, whatever they are, it's going to take oftentimes 8 to 12 touches. So we're so focused on making sure they get touched enough times where a lot of the times you're not focused enough on the quality of content, and that becomes so darned important, because not only do they need to get 8 to 12 touches, you need to get them there, right? So you have to start at your touch 1 and understand if it's leading down the appropriate pathway or if it's a be all and end all kind of response. You need to make sure that it's a filter. Your automations need to act, in my eyes anyways, as a filter from the more to filter basically the more from the less serious people, because even the less serious people will become more serious in time. We've seen that time after time after time. Like what Mark was just saying, somebody closing a deal in their first 7 days isn't necessarily the best thing, because they don't really, our clients don't realize the work it's going to take, and that not all of these leads that come through are going to be ready to be part of a transaction right away. It's just not how this works. It's a longer term play. It's a longer term solution. And so you need to be able to pluck the ones who are ready now and leave the rest in the hopper so that they can keep getting those automated touches at an appropriate rate, so long as you feel that they're going to stay within that mechanism. As soon as they have any reason to unsubscribe, you've lost, right? You need to make sure there's always something next, something additional. So for anybody, and it still surprises me, the amount of people that I talk to in a day that aren't using video in their follow-up. And that's something that I desperately need to convey to people. And I know Marcus and I were having a similar conversation. It might have been on a LabCoats event 3 years ago, and we were talking about, hey, if you've been watching Tom Ferry, he's telling you it's the year of video. It's the year of video. Well, we're well beyond the year of video. Video is now, it's an expectation in my eyes. So it's one of those things that if you're not using video, you will need to supplement so many manual tasks and activities to get even remotely close to the productivity that you can have through automations and through video in your automations. And what that does is it monopolizes your time. If you feel you need to get these 8 to 12 touches in, and you're manually texting and calling and doing whatever you're doing, you're having to water down the level of value you are providing to the clients you're ready to talk to because you're giving something to everybody, CMAs, whatever it is. Whereas when you leverage technology, which is largely what we're helping you do here, you leverage all of these things, you're buying yourself more time and actually you're giving more value to your clients because they're all getting an item of value that's, it's high in value, it's consistent. They're never going to not get that email. It might hit their spam, fair, but they're being sent it. You've delivered on your promise. Now, if you can have a video in there that explains to them, look, I'd love to be able to provide you what you're asking me for. However, before I can give you a professional home valuation, I still need the following. I need to hear from you. I need to this, whatever it might be. But if I get 10 leads today and two of them are actually ready to talk to me, well, I don't want to waste my time doing 8 additional CMAs for people who weren't ready to talk to me. I want to spend my time doing something of high value and high leverage for the 2 that were ready, and the other 8 are going to get a text message and an email in the days that follow that hopefully stacks value and warms them up so that they say, you know what, it's been 3 months since I requested that, but now I'm ready. Now I want that valuation. Great, let's
Yeah,
do it.
yeah. And in the States, you just drop them into something like HomeBot.
Absolutely.
But but I'll double down on that too. What the problem is, if you don't put your personality in there, if you don't put video in there, no body language, no tonality, what you're leaving things up to is interpretation. And 99 out of 100 times, interpretation is not going to work in your favor, not at all, because that person already has an expectation of what they thought they were going to receive, and they didn't get it, or maybe it was underwhelming, or maybe it was confusing, and so forth. So, that being said, I have seen successful people, Janky being one of them, that doesn't really use video, but it's because she's so highly leveraged.
Yeah.
So, like, if you have people that are immediately picking up the phone the moment that lead comes in, that have been trained, that have been, with scripts and strategies and in a way that really gets that conversation beginning, then, great, you got it. There you go. I can only imagine video will reinforce that message. But most people are not at that level, and if you are, go take Janky's training. I just tell you that, like, she's already reinvented that wheel. She'll show you how she does those ISA training courses. But if you aren't there, then make video your best friend. It's as simple as something like a bomb integration at $1 a day. Like, you can't beat it. Just like you can't beat HomeBot for a home value integration. So we're not, like, StreetText is not about trying to be your solution for everything, but what we do great as is we network with all the best at what they do and offer that to you. Say, hey, this is what we're seeing out there. This is the best mailer solution. This is the best home value solution for your follow-up. This is the best video email solution for your follow-up. And then you kind of start putting the pieces together, and before you know it, you're looking back and we're masterminding, we're sharing all these amazing, cool things that you've learned along the way. And it wasn't just StreetText. StreetText just happens to be a vehicle that got you there.
I think that's a fantastic point and one that, again, we do a lot of different things. And whenever we notice something in the industry that is shifting or changing or working better, we either build an internal tool that does every, thing that does, or like Marcus is saying, we start recommending, partners who, we don't necessarily get kickbacks or anything from. We just believe in their product. We know it works. So we want to recommend more things that help people depending on where you are. And there's always changes. Facebook is ever changing. The real estate market's changing. Obviously, we've been in a seller's market for quite some time. Eventually, it's going to shift back. It's naturally that, natural that there's ebbs and flows in different markets, but we've got to experience a pretty solid and strong seller's market for a long time. So a lot of the things that we're leveraging right now are in relation to that. Marcus was mentioning, HomeBot or HomeBeat in Canada. Very, important and is specific tools, I guess, that would help people depending on their current pain points. So if you've got something that you're doing and you come to us and say, oh, I just don't want to do CMAs all the time. Like, well, we've got multiple solutions for you, whether it be tell somebody in a bomb video they're not getting a CMA until they've done the following, limit the amount of those, or go the other way, get everybody a high value report by putting them into HomeBot, right? It's affordable and it's highly effective, but it's not for everybody. So you come to us and you say, here are the problems I'm having. Here's my budget. What do you think I should do to supplement this and do that? And we can help you put a solution together, because it's not like there's no rubber stamp that says, okay, step 1, build ads. Step 2, convert leads, right? It doesn't work that way. Every single person needs to, build a mechanism, a structure, a system that's appropriate for their market, appropriate for their budget, appropriate for their mentality. I've got a lot of different people who are looking to accomplish different things, and that's kind of what we try to do. Is we've got access to all the information, we just help you put it all together. Now, when Facebook makes a major change, which I'm sure you guys are all very familiar with, notably, let's say the iOS 14 update, so the changes Facebook made were more forced upon them than anything else. They had to do things in reaction to an external force. But what that meant, though, was, I would say, a struggle for the majority of the users who are trying to run ads. So this is something that, as an individual user on your own, you probably heard rumblings of the iOS 14 update that was impending. What that meant, you probably didn't have a whole lot of insight to. Now, the benefit of a company like ours that spends a decent rate on Facebook, Facebook tends to favor us a little bit. So well before the impending update was, changed and applied and all these things had been done, we were given some heads up. So we got time to work on a solution. And now, since that happened, I think it's 11 months ago, give or take, since that happened. Since that date, basically, right up until recently and still currently and for the foreseeable future, we run a help session that shows people how to set up a domain that's necessary for these conversion ads. And if you're unsure what I'm talking about, come sign up for a trial. We'll walk you through it all. It's something we spend a lot of time on in our trials, so I'll save it a little bit for now. But there are some additional steps that need to be taken. And whenever Facebook makes these changes, we do our best to support our clients. You come and say, I can't run these kind of ads anymore. Why is that? Well, here's why. Here's the solution. Well, I'm not tech savvy. I can barely turn on my computer. I don't know what you're talking about with DNS settings and aggregate data. We're like, that's fine. We have people who are great at this. Just make this meeting at this time. They'll take remote access of your computer and bingo, bango, you're done. That's kind of a big portion of what we do, is make the tech, appropriate and work for you, not against you.
I think that's so important, guys. A couple of things that I've heard as you've been saying this, there's two big things that came to me. First of all, it's and. So we talked about this at the beginning. So yes, I want short-term business. And if you want to be successful long-term, you can ask every successful agent. It's about something I'm doing today that I'm getting paid on 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months from now. So, if you get 50 StreetText leads and you only close one of them, you got 49 more opportunities over the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years. I think that's an important concept. So there's an and then leverage. Like, you guys are talking about leverage. There are people, to your point, Logan, who barely want to turn on a computer. Well, you don't have to learn how to run Facebook Ad Manager. You don't have to learn all these things. These guys will do it for you. And I didn't even know you would do it at that extent, but literally take your computer over and literally do it for you. So, if you're scared of tech, if it's just not, and we all have strengths and weaknesses, there's nothing wrong with that. But lean on some of these guys and they can help you out. And I love that idea. We've got about 10 minutes left. So if you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat. I noticed in the chat a minute ago that there was some information. Maybe you guys want to cover that about some changes that are going to be happening with your product in the very, very, very near future. I think it's important. Maybe we cover that as we move forward. So if you guys want to touch on that.
Yeah, real quick, we have been long overdue for an increase to our rates. We haven't changed our rates in 4, maybe 5 years. We actually discussed increasing our rates for the beginning of last year. We had long planned on having something ready to go. Obviously, there were some outside forces that impeded that decision. We were doing very well, but it felt unsavory to us to increase our rates at a time when so many were struggling. So we decided not to do that. It's come to a point now, given all the things that we offer, the different classes and courses and templates, and we're constantly building and growing. It was high time we had to adjust our rates. So that is coming down the pipeline December 1st. So this is an opportunity. And I'll go over the pricing with you guys here in just a sec, but what we've always done is grandfather our current rates. So for existing clients, whatever rate they're locked in and paying, those will not be touched. It's something we always do. We honor existing rates. And we're also at this time, we're going to be honoring existing rates for anybody who starts a trial before the changeover. So if you get in, and this isn't meant to be a pressure tactic, this is just today's, however it is, right? But the general idea is, yeah, if you come in and start your trial today or tomorrow with us, you will have the opportunity to still test the full trial, make sure you get your full 7 days in, make sure this is a fit for you, and we will still honor today's current rates. Now, today's current rates, you can join us on a 3-month subscription for $600, which is an average, of course, of $200 monthly. That's going to go up to $750, so it'll be an average of $250. So $50 additional per month is the increase on that one. The 6-month solution is currently $1,020, or an average of $170 a month, and it is going up to $1,200. So you're an increase of $30 a month on that one. And our 12-month option, I guess we'll say, we're actually leaving that one the same as another way to incentivize, the longer term commitments, which we feel is in everybody's best interest. Of course, the longer you commit to something, the more you're going to get out of it, obviously. So the annual rate is still at the current $1,920, which is an average of $160 per month. And the way that all of our rates work is at the end of the prepaid commitment term, there's no more lengthy term or no renewal of said term. You do go to a month-to-month agreement at the base monthly rate of whatever you're at, right? So if you go 6 months, at the end of which currently you'd be at 170 moving forward. Again, after the increase, it'll be 200 moving forward, but that's the general way it works. We don't pay your ad spend. You'll be responsible to pay your own ad spend, but you can do, $2 a day. You can do $200 a day. You can do one ad. You can do 20 ads. You can do buyer's ads, seller's ads, listing ads, custom ads, anything that you wish in any area that you wish. In fact, a lot of our agents right now in different areas are finding mass migration from different locations. So there's some very specific things. If you're looking, let's say you're a Florida agent looking for New York leads. Well, you can do whatever you want, of course, but one little tip I'll give you guys right quick while I'm talking about it is always make sure that if you're trying to lure people from another location, make sure that your ad is primarily effective and appropriate for the location you're currently in. Those leads, those clicks, those contacts that are coming from your local area act as the antifreeze, the coolant, the engine oil, if you will. Otherwise, your engine overheats. If I'm running, move to Florida ads and I'm only running them in New York, the percentage of people who see them and click on them, it just won't be adequate. Your costs will soar. So make sure that you've dropped a targeting pin in your local area first. You're appropriate to that market. Then you can start running pins or dropping pins in external sources as well to bring those leads in at a more cost-effective rate. But kind of went off on a tangent there. Lots of things for us.
And what I will tell you is that if this all sounds very interesting, but you're kind of confused, you should be. And this is why we have workshops specifically to layer this for you. Whether it's just learning how to become a Facebook lead generation machine, whether it's to actually dissect your ad performance and review them together, whether it is leveraging the automation piece, a custom ad workshop with Logan, or converting leads, because that in a conversation in itself, and then the mastermind, of course, best of all. And that being said, there's also these amazing courses, whether it's with Janky to show you what she's done, Jennifer, or just a free guide to get you going, step by step. We use Thinkific as an excellent way, so hey, step 1, step 2, step 3, you feel very confident in your process. And then of course, to put it all together, just like the LabCoatAgent does, we have a group specifically for StreetText there for you, where you can find almost anything and everything with a quick search or topics in the group. So it just takes a little bit of time, and you have a guide, and that guide will help facilitate you to the resources that you need. And we'll make sure that you're successful, and we'll make sure that it's a fit. This is why we have these trials, because we want to make sure that environment is one conducive to your success. And if it's not, we part ways. Hopefully you got something great from it. But if it is, welcome to the community. You're going to love it.
Absolutely. And as we were kind of talked about this in the green room, but we're planning for 2022 right now. Like, and hopefully you've done some planning prior to this webinar, but 2022 starts basically tomorrow. And for some people would argue that it started 30 days ago. So, as you're looking at your lead generation for 2022, what's some of the pieces that you might be missing? And I think this is a great opportunity to look at it. And I love the free trial. And the biggest thing that I like about StreetText, I like you guys, and that's not it, but the idea that I have someone to guide me, because how many real estate agents, how many salespeople have gone out there, thought it was a great idea, tried something didn't work, and there was no one to help them. And, and there's a lot of great programs out there, but there's not a lot of great programs out there who are offering you a one-on-one coach that you can reach out to, you can set time with, they'll take your computer over. So, for those of you who are looking for an opportunity, to me, it's a great opportunity to start building some database. And, everybody says that the greatest asset we have as real estate agents is our database. So building it is vital if we want to be in this business long-term.
My challenge is to everybody here too, that's thinking about it, is go find someone who's already used it. Because I guarantee you there has been. Send them a PM on Facebook, message them, and do that with as many people as possible are or have used StreetText to get some of that social proof established, so you can kind of come in with a little bit of experience and confidence.
Yeah, heck, we're on LabCoats. Put it in LabCoats. Put a comment in LabCoats. Hey, who's used StreetText? Tell me some stories. And there'll be people, just to both these guys' point, there'll be people who say, "Oh, it didn't work for me." Great, that's fine. But I'm going to guarantee you that at least 7 out of 10 people will have a very positive response on that. And that's pretty good. I don't know if many lead sources that are going to get a 70% positive response. It might be higher.
Here's a challenge too, though. So those people that it didn't work for, we always offer them a new experience. So forever and ever, you'll always be able to come back and trial it again for free, because we're always evolving. And so we always want to make sure that you're left on a high note, even if you part ways with us, that you have always the opportunity to come back and get a new experience.
Love it. Yeah. So, well, cool, guys. We got a couple minutes left. Any final thoughts that we can share as we move forward into 2022? It makes my head hurt. It feels like just yesterday we were talking about a pandemic starting in 2020, and now it's almost 2 years later, and here we are doing things in a completely different and in a lot of ways the same. So love to hear any final thoughts on that.
I would say it's both never too early or too late to start. Really. And what I mean by that is we get a lot of people kind of going like, "Oh, well, I've already missed the boat," right? I've already missed the Facebook boat. And to a degree, I mean, you got to get started. But I mean, at the same time, it's not too early to get started on 2022. I think that it's important to come in, test things. We have the 7-day trial for a very specific reason. It's not to show you that it works, because it works. It's to show you that it works for you. That's important. So we want to make sure that we have a chance to meet with you, vet it out, make sure that we think you're a good fit for our system, but also for us to highlight the things that you're looking for. Because again, it's not a one size fits all solution. We want to make sure that our values, our morals, our product, our platform lines up with exactly what you're looking for. And, 7 days is plenty of time to come in and see that, ask all the questions. And if you don't see what you're looking for, like Marcus said earlier, we part ways, and almost always we see you come back in the future, but we want to give everybody an opportunity to come in and check us out so we can make sure that we're the right solution for you guys. So Marcus, anything you'd want to add?
No, I think I said everything that I wanted to say, but I would say just be ready to adapt and evolve, because that's what is happening in this world today. And if you don't, they say if you don't adapt, you die. So like, this is the social media world. This is where people now spend time. They're on Zoom, just like we are here together. They're, on Facebook, Meta, Instagram, right? TikTok, all these different places. And they're just scrolling almost mindlessly at times. And that's kind of where they're looking for connection, because they can't find it sometimes outside of their own home. So let's be that source of connection for them. And let's give them an experience that they can remember that feels great.
Love it, guys. Thanks again. As always, great information. And we'll just say this, a couple of quick things. Free 7-day trial. So, you can't go wrong with free. And so give these guys a shot if it's not something that you've done, and get a coach, get in there and do that. Create some leverage for 2022. And then I'm sure that a lot of people found some great stuff in this. So this will be replayed on the LabCoats YouTube channel for any of you who weren't able to watch the whole thing or just want to watch it again. So again, thanks Logan, thanks Marcus. We really appreciate you guys. Thanks Lab Coats for tuning in today to another great webinar. So thank you, and welcome to 2022.